Hello, everyone. Coming up here on the AEW Ring Report. Coming up, we're going to have this right here. Swerve Strickland go one-on-one against Brody King in the men's Owen Cup semifinals. Which one of these men will advance to the finals to meet Will Ospreay in the final in the Owen Cup for the men's? We'll talk about it coming up. Also, too, on the AEW Ring Report, we talk about this right here. We talk about summer break blockbuster as we'll have the Continental Championship match between Shane Taylor versus champion John Moxley. Shane Taylor looking for some gold. We'll see about that. Plus, we kick out AEW with Tommaso Ciampa after what Ciampa did a couple last week attacking Chris Jericho. We'll see what Ciampa we'll hear from Tommaso Ciampa. We get a lot of this stuff and more. We get the Pro Wrestling Show started right here, right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, as always, Super Dix here. Glad you can join us here on the Pro Wrestling Show for the AEW Ring Report. Join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe if you can. Tell a friend. Call a friend. Hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing. All right. Let's not waste no time whatsoever. Let's get things started right here, right now. The AEW Ring Report. We told you, as promised, Tommaso Ciampa kicked off the show, and I'm going to show you what Ciampa did right here, right now. Tommaso Ciampa. Get Tommaso Ciampa, get that off there. Let's show you right quick. This would show you right quick what Ciampa did right here. Show you right quick. Tommaso Ciampa and Chris Jericho had that little tit for tat about each other stuff. Even brought up about WWE and stuff. About Ciampa not using his potential. I'm going to say Chris Jericho trying to. Jericho said, look what Jericho said right here. Chris Jericho and Ciampa, in a word of words, throwing stone for stone for each other. We saw that. Jericho and Ciampa might want to go Azure's throats. That's going to be a match of itself. We're going to see that match down the road eventually between them. But security had to pull both men apart from each other. I want to show you that too. Security pulling both men away from each other to show that hey, no issue or no dealings and stuff like that. But you kind of saw how that saw you what was the demeanor. So we ain't gonna show you that Jericho and Ciampa situation, but you said it's bound to happen between them. Like we said, it's going to be something that a lot of people want to see between them, Jericho and Ciampa. They're going to probably have a match one-on-one eventually. We'll see how that's going to play out between Jericho and Ciampa. This is what I'm talking about right here. They had the security had to separate these men. So it's personal between them. It's going to get real crazy. But we'll see how personal it's going to be coming up down the road. Well, speaking of that, Kevin Knight, the newest member of the Don Callis family. I'm going to show you Kevin Knight. He got confronted by his cohort, Andrade. Andrade kind of not pleased with Don Callis. Remember last week, and Don Callis was so excited to bring Kevin Knight to the fold, he had his teeth come popping out his mouth. His gums came popping out. Don Callis was so happy that Kevin Knight joined. Like I said, Kevin Knight does not need to be in Don Callis' family. He does not want to be in Don Callis' family. I don't think he really needs it, but I guess they're trying to get him somebody like a manager or something. He be his own man. Maybe down the road he might not need Don Callis smiling, laughing from ear to ear. Don Callis so happy, excited to have Kevin Knight in the fold. You can tell right here. He hugged him so he was so excited to have him. Don Callis feels like Kevin Knight plays a big role, a big factor into the Don Callis family, to this new wave of the Don Callis family. Well, I told you Kevin Knight got some enemies. He's making enemies left and right, even to the point that Don Callis can't save him and stuff. But like we said, Andrade keeping a real close eye on Kevin Knight and his shenanigans and stuff. Andrade was a little bit perturbed, but hey, that's Andrade for you right there. Well, we go to this right here. Andrade looks like he's taking a selfie with a fan, a female admirer. Andrade's taking selfies and stuff with his fans, female admirers and stuff. So Andrade's trying to find his way, life out of Charlotte, trying to be a ladies' man. That's what Andrade's trying to do. And Andrade also he won his match tonight, also made the challenge that he wants some gold. Andrade wants some gold indeed. Andrade will do it, whatever it takes to get some gold. So Andrade trying to get some gold back into Don Callis' family that he wants, but if the goal's already been laid out. But we see the what's his name coming and messing with Andrade. You see Leo Rush coming out there and messing with Andrade. Leo Rush with that psychotic gimmick or schizophrenia gimmick. As he plays, he's trying to get in Andrade's skin. Andrade doesn't know what the hell's going on. Andrade's trying to figure out what's going on with that. Speaking of that, Kevin Knight getting a little bit beaten up by none other than the returning Darby Allin. Kevin Knight cost Darby Allin the championship, the AEW title. And Darby Allin looking for some payback, looking for some revenge, and did so on Kevin Knight's expense. Kevin Knight's better watch himself because his TNT championship could be up in smoke. Tell you that right now. Well, we get to this right here. MJF has a thorn on his side, and that thorn on his side is none other than Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe wants a shot at the AEW championship. But MJF believes that Mark Briscoe doesn't need a shot at the title because he doesn't represent AEW as a champion. That he does. He believes AEW does not need to be represented by like a country boy. Mark Briscoe still trying to find his way. Mark Briscoe added himself saying that if be a 6-man tag with him against MJF, that if he pins MJF, he gets a shot at the world title. Well, MJF, all in it, no cut-ins, nothing like that. So MJF really got himself in a pickle. I can tell you that right now. MJF got himself in a pickle, so we'll see how that's going to go down eventually. Well, we get to this right here. The Continental Championship is on the line as Dean John Moxley, I meant to say, goes one-on-one against Shane Taylor of Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor bringing himself and bringing his promotions out. And you see right there, Shane Taylor doing it with his crew. Shane Taylor and his crew coming out there. I'll show you that Shane Taylor and his crew came out there. Was that what was going on with that? But looks like John Moxley got his hands pull, had his hands cut. Shane Taylor and his crew. Shane Taylor lost to John Moxley with that choke. So Shane Taylor said he's not done yet. He's not finished. But you can tell right there, they're gonna be starting a feud going back before with that. So we could see we see that John Moxley and them. I don't know. They probably issued a challenge to him to see how it's going. There's always factions versus factions going on. Even this Mercedes Moné was in action as well. Mercedes Moné, Sasha, used to be Sasha Banks and stuff. We saw how that went down. This lady won her in the women's semifinals next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. Um, be, so this lady, Maya World, I think, won the match. So Maya's World won. And she won indeed, but who knows? She could be going against Mercedes. Who knows about that? Well, we get to this right here. We know that it's going to be. Well, speaking, we know that that's Muscle Champion, but we know, like we said, Mercedes will be in action as well. So we'll see how Mercedes will do. So we saw that and stuff. So Mercedes, that situation. Um, and we get to this right here. Um, the main event for tonight's Dynamite was Swerve Strickland going against Brody King. Big Brody King was in action. Big Brody King and Swerve Strickland. Which one of these two men were going to advance into the finals and meet Will Ospreay one on one for Forbidden Door? We was gonna see who's gonna merge victorious. We didn't have to wait no longer. As you saw on the title, you saw it that Swerve Strickland gets the shot. Swerve Strickland advances on, defeating Brody King as promised. Swerve Strickland now will meet um, Will Ospreay for a shot at the who is going to be the number one contender for the AEW Championship at Forbidden Door. So it looks like we see Swerve Strickland could be next in line. All he got to do is just defeat Will Ospreay to get the shot. So we're gonna see if Swerve Strickland can do it by defeating Big Brody King as well coming up. But like we said, this AEW was so this week. I mean, nothing really stood out. You saw a lot of progression between MJF and Mark Briscoe. See how that match was gonna go. So, like we said, wasn't really too much. Now we kind of know Swerve Strickland advances on. Here's the brackets right here before we leave out. Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. The tournament final, the winner becomes the Owen Cup champion and number one contender for the AEW Championship at All In. So we're gonna keep a real close eye on this as we go. So that's gonna do it here for the Pro Wrestling Show. We're gonna leave you with Swerve Strickland win the match over Brody King and meeting Will Ospreay in the finals of the Owen Cup Classic. I've been your host, Kendrick Dix, saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow for the TNA Ring Report here on the Pro Wrestling Show.